All right, guys, so this is an example of Gaussian elimination or Gauss-Jordan elimination with matrices. So our goal is to try to get this matrix into reduced row echelon form. So a couple things to start off. I already have the augmented matrix here. And luckily I have this leading 1 in the first row, so we're all set on that. The first thing I'm going to do is try to clear out these 2 entries below the first leading 1 and get them to be zeros. So I'm going to use that leading 1 to help me out. I'm going to start off with -2 row 1 plus row 2. And we're writing all these operations out with our second row being like the second row we mentioned being the one that we're changing. So that's the first thing I'm going to do to clear out this 2 is my goal right now, get that as 0. So I'm going to do that on my second matrix here. Row 1's going to stay the same. And row 2 is going to cancel out. So I'll have -2 plus 2, that's my 0. I'll have 6 and -8 is -2. -2 and 8 is 6. -8 and -2, -10. So that's row 2 for me. Since we need to change different rows, I'm also going to clear out this third row, first column there, that -6. So I'll do 6 row 1 plus row 2 plus row 3, whoops, to clear out this last row. So same thing. And again, you can use your calculator here to help you out, but we still need to show all our steps. I'll get these entries down the bottom of my matrix. All right, so we're looking good right now. We cleared out the zeros under our first leading 1. Now, second thing I want to do is get a leading 1 in the second row. So this -2, I want to clear them out. So I will do row 2 times -1/2, or -1/2 row 2, to make that a leading 1. And that's the only row I'm going to change here. So I'll get these entries across. And feel free to fast forward if you want to do these steps on your own, or if my steps are going too slow to you, but writing out all my work here. All right, 2 more steps to get to row echelon form, and then we're going to reduced. So our next goal is to clear out, again, I have the leading 1 in the second row. I want to clear out any values below it. So getting rid of this -15. And you notice that that third row is all multiples of 3s. I could have cleared those out, but since I have the calculator to help us out with big numbers, I'll just leave it, and I'm going to do 15. And now I'm going to use row 2, since that's the leading 1 above it, and I don't want to get rid of my zeros, plus row 3 to change my matrix. And I'll do the same thing. So my rows 1 and 2 are going to stay the same, but now I've got this 0 in my third row, second column, and changing that last constant value on the other side also. All right, so to lastly get to our row echelon form, I'm just going to clear out this last -54, make that a leading 1 here. So I'm going to do -1 over 54 times row 3 and write that out. And these steps you do have to show. I'll either ask you to get the matrix to row echelon form or reduced row echelon form. So we'll kind of see our options, whatever our preference is, going through. All right. So this matrix down here, that is our row echelon form. And just like our last example, we could set our z as -2, and we could substitute that back in. and finish solving the system that way. But I'm going to keep going, and this is what Gauss-Jordan elimination is. And I'm going to get this to reduced row echelon form. So we also want zeros in these places above our leading ones. So I'm going to clear out this first spot right now, that -3. So I'm going to do 3 times row 2. Now I'm using the leading one below the entry I want to clear out, plus row 1. Write in my new matrix here. So now I've got the 0 in this second column, -8 in my third, 19 in the fourth column, but I'm not touching the other rows yet. Since you can change two different rows in one step, but I can't like change that other value, that 8, until this step here, since I already used row 1. So my last step to get to reduced row echelon form is I want to get zeros in that third column above my leading one. So now I'll do 2 steps in one. So I'm going to do 8 row 3 plus row 1 to clear out the -8. And I'll do 3 row 3 plus row 2 to clear out that -3. And this is using the leading ones to just create the zeros where we need them for our matrices. All right, so my final matrix is going to be this reduced row echelon form, that diagonal of 1s there. And when I add the appropriate values, there's my constants, my answers, so I'm already set. From this, we know that x equals 3, y equals -1, and z equals -2. And we could check that by subbing that into any of our original equations or checking with the calculator. And another way to write our answers would be just as a point instead, going that way. All right, so I hope this helped. Try out those last set of examples on your own, and good luck.